Like, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 months ago we had a nice long chat, and I felt like we were already doing a podcast interview, so I figured I should have you on as soon as possible.
It did kind of feel like that.
But let me do your bio and then we'll get started, okay?
Sounds good.
Great. So Michael is a lifelong athlete with an extensive history in exercise and nutrition. Michael credits wrestling at a young age to helping him build his mental game. From the encouragement of his father at an early age, he read many books written by authors like Tony Robbins and Larry Winget, further developing his mental mindset. Michael dealt with IBS for over 15 years and hypoglycemia for 3+ years until he found real food nutrition with the primal blueprint. Both the IBS and hypoglycemia were gone within the first month of these dietary changes and have yet to resurface again. Wow, that's a short but sweet bio, Michael.
I tried. I've written some long ones, and I was trying to keep it short and sweet here.
All right, that's good. Those are easier to read, believe me. So let's start with the first question I asked just about all the guests. Michael, and this is what our discussion was. What's your story? How did Michael become the Michael I'm speaking with today and the audience is listening to today?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I always grew up in sports and being an athlete, and so I mean, with that, definitely, you've got to be, mindful of what you're eating, how you're exercising, and really how you prepare your mind for that. And so I've always kind of been trained in that. I had a really good coach in wrestling in high school, he was actually a firefighter and competed in the firefighter games, and he was super tough and always was pushing us. I mean, to the point of it was probably unhealthy, but in a physical aspect, but what that did for our mental state was incredible. I mean, we'd go out on, endurance training days and we wouldn't stop until someone puked. I mean, he would literally bring us to the point of our body physically telling us no, far beyond when our mind was telling us no. Our mind is is there to do one thing, and that's to keep us alive. It's to keep us out of danger. And so anytime it feels danger, it's going to say stop. But our physical capabilities go so far beyond what our mind thinks we can. And when you retrain that, you really open up yourself up to just so much more in every aspect. And I use that a lot, with people I work with. I love using physical barriers to open up their mind in so many different things. And
How about
so,
yeah? Well, how about some of your? How did that lead into some of these clinical problems you had, like IBS and hypoglycemia and such?
well, I could probably the horrible dietary changes and choices that most wrestlers make probably did not help my IBS at all. I also dealt with lactose intolerance and just continued to eat dairy because I thought it was really good. So I'm sure that there's so many different things that contributed to that for sure. Um, as I graduated from school and I went into the culinary field as a career, I was really just eating crap food that just wasn't good. I was living off of, frozen foods and whatever I was eating in the restaurant. So fried foods and soda and coffee and just going off of that and just loads of carbs and sugar and soda to get through my day. Cause I was working 12 and 14-hour days on my feet, and, just in high activity situations. And so I just needed this. And so yeah, that definitely, I know exactly where the hypoglycemia came from. It was just this roller coaster of shoving carbs and sugar into my face. And then I've always, because I've been athletic, I've always been naturally lean. I've never had a problem, maintaining weight. So I was just like, I can eat whatever I want because my weight won't go up. And eventually that started to become not true even. The IBS, I mean, honestly, that's something I was dealing with since I was at least an early teenager. So to the point that I just remember, being 10 years old and like tears in the bathroom because it was so bad sometimes. Um, so it was definitely from a young age, and I just didn't make smart decisions that made that better. And really, my dad actually started reading into all this stuff and started sharing some of this nutrition stuff that he was coming across, things like wheat belly and what, grains really do. and what's being done to the grains that make it even worse. And I was like, that's kind of interesting, and just kind of started reading into it and was like, I should try this. And I didn't even think like, oh, this is going to help my IBS or my hypoglycemia. I was just like, let's try this because that sounds like it would be a whole lot healthier than what I'm doing. And all of a sudden, after about a month, I realized I hadn't had a case of like really low bad blood sugar in weeks. And this was a regular occurrence, if not daily, at least multiple times a week.